Alright, today we're taking viewer questions. I had a question on a previous video. A guy asked me, T2, what is your favorite soft drinks throughout the years? And I like questions like this because it takes about 10 minutes to explain. Because it's not just what's your favorite soft drink, it's like throughout the years. So if anybody else has some good questions like that, go ahead and post them in the comments. It gives me stuff to talk about, and I like content. So I'm going to start out when I was a little kid. I'm going to say probably when I was working on a farm. Because my dad grew tobacco when we were little. It would get really hot and you'd get thirsty and you want something to drink. And I've always liked Mountain Dew. They used to have a song about Mountain Dew. I don't remember how it went, but it was really good. And Coke and Pepsi and stuff was always good too. I always liked that. But Mountain Dew is just better. Like if I'm at a restaurant, I'm not going to choose Coke over Mountain Dew if they got Mountain Dew there. And I never really liked Sprite and 7-Up when I was a kid. I kind of grew on it later on. Just like the last few years. But we'd be out like on the back of a truck, working on the tobacco and get all hot and grab a cold Mountain Dew and cool you down. And then my grandpa, who owned a cabinet shop, he had a little vending machine outside with a Coke machine. We always played basketball out there. We were setting up fucking dunks and shit. And you get sweaty and hot and you'd pop 50 cents in there because it was just 50 cents back then. You get you like a knee-high grape. Sometimes you would get like a Tubbs root beer or whatever. Grape was kind of my go-to back then. Orange slice was pretty good too if you didn't have any grapes, but I got into those fruity drinks. This was probably still elementary school times. And then we had this kid in elementary school. His name was Chad. I think he's a distant cousin of mine, but he was like the entrepreneur kid. This is a Diet Dr. Thunder, by the way. Dr. Pepper's good. I'll get into that. But this kid Chad, he was always like selling baseball cards. He always had a hustle going. There's certain times of the year we would sell candy or something. He would bring like a shitload of it, and he would try to like really make a profit. He was always like a money-making guy, and he always had money. So every day he would eat like a Snickers, and he would get a A&W root beer. And then me and this other guy Jonathan, we started noticing this. We're like, man, that fucking looks refreshing. And we started getting A&W root beer, and we both loved it. I think it was Jonathan. But I think we even had some kind of joke we made about how A&W was refreshing or something. I don't remember how it went. But that was probably about high school. I was into A&W root beer. But then, like, you kids today probably have all kinds of stuff at high school, vending machines, and, like, when you're growing up in the 80s, mostly you just had, like, you'd drink milk for breakfast and lunch, and you'd have whatever the school lunch was. And then when I got into high school, they just started this thing of having, like, a salad bar, and all the girls kind of got the salads, and they had vending machines, and a lot of guys would start to get, like, Cokes and Doritos and candy bars and shit for lunch. And I was late into that stuff, so I just stayed with the school lunch. I'm like, you guys ain't eating, it's Super Chili Day. What are you talking about? You're going to eat Doritos? Or like, I didn't really like school pizza. Everybody talked about school pizza, that rectangular garbage. That's so fucking trash. Everybody put corn under it, and they had peaches with it. And like, well, this doesn't make sense at all. Corn and peaches with pizza? I really like Super Chili Day. The Thanksgiving was really good, and I always got like school breakfast, like they had biscuits and gravy and eggs and shit. What was the other one that's really good? I don't remember. School lunches. I always liked them, most part. So then I got out of high school, I started working in a convenience store, and we had like a what do you call those soda machines or fountain drinks, right? So I started thinking about Coke and Pepsi when I was working there, like, what do I like better? And I think I like Coke better out of a fountain. But Coke has to be ice cold. If it has ice with it, it's okay. But if you're getting like a bottle or a can, I think I'd rather have Pepsi. Because it's just something about the taste of Pepsi. You don't really need it to be as cold as Coke to be good. We also had a slushie machine, but that's beside the point. And then, this was like I graduated in 96, so I was working there from like 97 to 2000-ish. Because I know I was working somewhere else in 9/11, that was 2001, because I remember where I was at in 9/11. So, they had this drink called Josta back then, and now I got really into that. I like those Mystic drinks, those fruity ones. I'd get some of those Mystics, but they had this Josta that was like the early energy drink. And Josta had guarine, taurine, and ginseng, I think, in it. Ginseng biloba, maybe something like that. They stopped making, had a big panther on the label, and it would really like keep me awake and kind of peppy. Because if you're a fat guy, a lot of times energy drinks and stuff doesn't really work as good because you got all this fat soluble shit and like your fat absorbs it. Just to seem to do the trick though. I don't know if it had like extra or what, but I think they stopped making it back when they stopped making like Surge and some of those other really crazy energy drinks. I didn't really like Surge, but then let's see, I tried this thing called Pepsi Max a while back, and that was working really good to keep me awake too. I think that's when I was playing some kind of video game to stay awake. So Pepsi Max was good. And then I think last year, or year before maybe, when Stranger Things Season 2 came out, they were talking about Tab, because it was like a big 80s thing. And I never really tried Tab, so I went and found something like a Save-A-Lot or something. I got some Tabs and tried those. Those were really good. I like Tab. It's kind of like a mix between a regular Coke and a Dr. Pepper. And then, like, if I'm just thirsty and I just want to drink something, I'd probably rather drink tea than a soft drink, because soft drinks don't really fill you up. Like, if you play any of these games like DayZ, you'll see, like, it makes you thirsty after you. It'll fill you up your thirst for a while, but then you'll lose thirst faster because it's got a lot of sodium, salt in it. But, like, Nestea and Brisk are really good. Can't really find Nestea anymore, but they're always cheap, too. You go to a convenience store, you get a big 1-liter bottle for 99 cents of tea. The Arizona iced tea is okay, but I prefer just straight, like a lemon tea. And then if I'm going to drink something like out of a glass bottle, just to like lay around the house and like just sit on the porch or something, they got these IBC drinks, like the black cherries. Those are really good. They got root beer too, but the black cherry's better. I've been drinking those for years. They're expensive. I think they're like $2.50 for 6 bottles. I guess that's not bad. That's not really bad. But they have this drink here in Kentucky, or around Kentucky. I'm not saying I live in Kentucky now. I'm not saying where I live. Don't ask me where I live. I just live somewhere. And they have these things called L8s. It is like a ginger ale soft drink. And, I mean, I don't really like the taste of it, but I like drinking it because it makes me feel like I'm drinking a beer or something. Is that weird? It's kind of like a bubbly, like a Harry Potter ginger beer or something. I don't know. It's not really good, but I've talked to these friends in like Ohio and Illinois and stuff. They come down here just to buy those. I'm like, whatever. If you like ginger ale's pretty good. But then now, I pretty much just stick to the old standard Diet Dr. Pepper and Diet Mountain Dew. Because the regular Mountain Dew seems too sugary for me now. You get on Diet Mountain Dew and you don't really want to go back to drinking regular Mountain Dew. It just seems way too sweet. Diet Dr. Pepper, though, it's interesting because the thing that makes a drink diet is not what flavors it in Dr. Pepper. So Diet Dr. Pepper tastes the same as a regular Dr. Pepper. Same with the generic ones. Fun fact. Also had a great uncle that he only drinks Dr. Pepper. And when he would come down, my mom would say, "Oh, we got to get some Dr. Peppers for Uncle Tom because he's coming down because it's the only thing he'll drink." So some people are just really fans of their soft drinks, and I understand that. Yeah, pretty much covers it. That's drinks I pretty much fuck with throughout the years, and can't really think of any others that have made an impact. Alright.